Welcome to Magical Bedtime Stories, your cozy escape into the world of soothing tales and dreamy adventures. Relax, unwind, and let our stories guide you to a peaceful night's sleep. Sweet dreams await. Hello, my dear adventurers. It's Alina, welcoming you back to our cozy haven, where the world's whispers fade into gentle echoes, and dreams of magic await. I'm particularly excited about this evening's tales and lore. Our journey carries us far away from the mundane and into the fiery heart of Westeros. Whether you are Team Green or Team Black, or rooting for House Stark or House Lannister, we can all agree that the Targaryens and their dragon-riding rulers have endlessly captivated our imaginations throughout the realm. With their legendary tales of power, magic, and destiny, the Targaryens offer us an enthralling narrative. Imagine the rugged landscape of Dragonstone with its towering volcanic mountains and the ominous silhouette of the Targaryen stronghold standing sentinel over timeless stories. Picture yourself walking through the ancient halls of Dragonstone, where the scent of salt and smoke fills the air, and the vibrant history of the Targaryens echoes all around you as the sun dips below the horizon. You find yourself drawn to a grand, dimly lit chamber. The flickering light of dragonfire dances on the intricately carved stone walls, and the soft murmur of ancient Valyrian weaves tales of power and magic. Let the calming sounds of the distant sea and the rustle of dragon wings envelop you. Let the sun set in, the sea grey dark, in this case, trains. In this serene environment, the stories of kings and queens, dragons and battles come alive, each tale a thread in the rich tapestry of Targaryen mythology. So let the worries and thoughts of the day fade away. Settle into your coziest spot, whether you're wrapped in a warm blanket or reclining in your favorite chair, and join me as we delve into the lives of legendary figures like Aegon the Conqueror, Rhaegar Targaryen, the Mad King, and Daenerys Stormborn. Together, we will explore the epic battles of these dynasties, their unbreakable bonds with dragons, and the timeless magic that flows through the ancient blood of House Targaryen. Before we plunge into the mystique of Targaryen folklore, find a place of comfort. Close your eyes. Nation transport you to the world of Westeros. Feel the warmth of the crackling fire, the whisper of a chilling breeze, and prepare to delve into the epic tale of the Targaryen dynasty, whose legacy is as fiery as their dragons. The Targaryens, a house rooted in dragon lore, trace their origins to the ancient lost city of Valyria, a realm of splendor and ruin. Valyria was a civilization of immense power, where its people mastered dragoncraft and sorcery, Situated on the eastern continent of Essos, Valeria's landscape was dominated by towering mountains that belched fire and smoke, fertile fields sustained by volcanic ash, and cities of gleaming stone. It was here that the Valerians discovered the secrets of dragon taming, forging a bond with these magnificent creatures that would shape their destiny. House Targaryen, though minor among the dragon lords of Valyria, possessed a prescient vision. Daenerys the Dreamer, a Targaryen maiden, foresaw the doom of Valyria, a cataclysm that would shatter the empire. Acting on her prophecy, her father, Rhaenyra Targaryen, moved his family and their dragons to the island of Dragonstone, located in the Narrow Sea. This act of foresight saved the Targaryens from the fiery fate that consumed Valyria, leaving them as the last of the Dragon Lords. The founding of the dynasty began with Aegon Targaryen, later known as Aegon the Conqueror, who envisioned a kingdom forged in fire and blood. With his sister wives, Rhaenys and Visenya, and their dragons. Aegon embarked on a campaign to simulate the fractious kingdoms of Westeros. His landing on the eastern coast near the mouth of the Blackwater Rush marked the beginning of a monumental conquest. Aegon's strategy was one of both military prowess and political acumen. He swiftly subdued the petty kings and lords through a combination of overwhelming force and promises of stability. The decisive battle at the Field of Fire, where Aegon and his sisters unleashed their dragons upon the armies of the Reach and the Westerlands, cemented his reputation. The flames consumed thousands, their ashes mingling with the blood-soaked soil, a testament to the might of the Dragon Lords. Aegon's crowning achievement was the construction of the Iron Throne, a massive seat forged from the swords of his vanquished foes, melded together by dragonfire. This throne symbolized the unification of the Seven Kingdoms under Targaryen rule and served as a constant reminder of Aegon's authority and the power of dragons. The dragons of House Targaryen were not merely beasts. They were symbols of their might and magic. Balerion, the Black Dread, was the largest and most formidable of the dragons, his scales black as night, and his wings vast enough to blot out the sun. Vhagar, though smaller, was equally fearsome, with scales of dark bronze and an ancient battle-hardened ferocity. Meraxes, silver-scaled and swift, completed the trio that heralded the dawn of Targaryen rule. The bond between the Targaryens and their dragons was profound and mystical. It was said that dragon lords possessed an innate connection with their dragons, a blend of blood and magic that allowed them to command these formidable creatures. This bond was forged in the fires of Valyria and tempered through the centuries. Targaryen children were often placed in the cradles of dragon eggs, fostering a connection from birth. As they grew, they learned the ways of dragon lore, mastering the arcane arts necessary to ride and command their dragons. Dragons were more than weapons of war. They were extensions of their riders, reflecting their emotions and will. The fire that dragons breathed was not merely flame, but an embodiment of their riders' fury and resolve. The Targaryens used their dragons to enforce their will, quell rebellions, and explore the skies, their shadows casting a long and imposing figure over the lands below. The Targaryen sigil, a three-headed dragon breathing flames, is a potent symbol of their heritage and ambitions. Each head of the dragon represents Aegon and his sister wives, Rhaenys and Visenya. The crimson and black colors of their banner signify the fiery and tempestuous nature of their rule, and the blood they have spilt to maintain it. This sigil symbolizes their past glories and the formidable power of their dragons, while also serving as a reminder of their resilience and the legacy they are determined to reclaim. The motto of House Targaryen, Fire and Blood, encapsulates their history and ethos, signifying their readiness to wield fire against their foes and to spill blood, both their own and others, to achieve their goals. This emblem of fiery resolve and martial prowess has become synonymous with their name, echoing through the history of the realm as a testament to their enduring legacy and the unyielding spirit of the Dragon Lords. The legacy of the Targaryen dynasty is a saga of illustrious rulers, each leaving an indelible mark on the history of Westeros. Aegon the Conqueror laid the foundation of the dynasty, forging the Iron Throne from the swords of his vanquished foes. As a symbol of the unity he imposed through might and majesty, his rule set a precedent for his descendants, who would both uphold and challenge his vision. Maegor the Cruel, Aegon's son, ruled with an iron fist and a heart of stone. His reign was marked by the ruthless suppression of dissent, the construction of the formidable castle known as the Red Keep, and a reign of terror that left a legacy of fear and infamy. Maegor's tyranny was a stark contrast to the benevolent rule of his successor, Jaehaerys the Wise, who restored peace and prosperity. His reign was marked by reforms and the building of roads and infrastructure throughout the dynasty. It was with Jaehaerys' reign that the seeds for the Dance of the Dragons were planted. This brutal civil war was sown by his inability to secure a clear line of succession, leading to the fracturing of the realm upon his death. Rhaenyra, his chosen heir, and her half-brother Aegon II each claimed the Iron Throne, resulting in a catastrophic conflict that would forever alter the Targaryen dynasty. The Dance of the Dragons was a tragic chapter in Targaryen history, a devastating civil war that tore the realm apart. This conflict pitted the forces of Rhaenyra Targaryen against those of her half-brother Aegon II, each claiming the Iron Throne. The skies above Westeros were scorched by dragonfire, as dragons battled dragons in a war that decimated the Targaryen lineage and left the realm in chaos. The dance was marked by intrigue, betrayal, and the high cost of ambition. Families were divided, loyalties tested, and the very fabric of the kingdom threatened by the destructive power of dragons. The war caused the deaths of many dragons and brought the near extinction of these majestic creatures, marking the beginning of the end of Targaryen supremacy. The decline of the Targaryen dynasty was as dramatic as its rise, with the dragons dwindling and the Targaryen hold on power weakening. The once mighty house faced internal strife and external threats. The reign of Aerys II, the Mad King, epitomized this decline. His descent into madness and tyranny led to the rebellion of Robert Baratheon, which ultimately resulted in the fall of the Targaryen dynasty and the exile of its last heirs. In exile, the last known scion of House Targaryen, Daenerys Stormborn, struggled to keep the legacy of her house alive. Born amidst a violent storm on Dragonstone, she was raised in the free cities of Essos, far from the lands her ancestors once ruled. Despite her humble beginnings and the weight of her family's history, Daenerys grew to embody the strength and resilience of her forebears. She became known as Daenerys Targaryen, the mother of dragons, when she miraculously hatched 3 dragon eggs, bringing the fire and blood of her house back to life. Her journey to reclaim the Iron Throne is marked by her indomitable spirit and unwavering belief in her destiny. Her dragons, Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion, her symbols of the revival of Targaryen legacy, their fiery presence, a revival, the height of the theater, as she seeks to reclaim her birthright. Daenerys navigates a world fraught with political intrigue, treachery, and war. Daenerys represents the enduring spirit of House Targaryen, a beacon of hope for a dynasty that once soared on dragon wings. Her quest to reclaim the throne and her efforts to lead with justice and strength continue the storied legacy of her ancestors, proving that the blood of the dragon runs true in her veins. As the flames of Targaryen rule flicker and fade, let us journey deeper into their mythology, where fact intertwines with folklore. These folktales embody the Targaryen spirit, their triumphs and tragedies, their dragons and dreams, resonating with timeless themes of power, sacrifice, and the eternal struggle between light and darkness. Feel the ancient stones of Dragonstone beneath your feet, and the salt-laden breeze of Blackwater Bay on your face. Imagine the eerie glow of dragonfire lighting up the night as we shift from the historical accounts of this great house to their captivating folk tales. This is the story of Isaac from the upcoming novel Damp Night. Consider the legends that have enthralled those living in the shadow of the Iron Throne. It is within these stories that the true essence of the Targaryens comes to life. The Red Keep, once the resplendent heart of King's Landing, had become a place of shadows and whispers. Flickering torches cast erratic light upon the ancient stone walls, creating dancing specters that mocked the shattered sanity of the Mad King, Aerys II. His once brilliant mind was now twisted as he roamed the halls with wild, haunted eyes. His tangled silver-gold hair hung like a shroud over his gaunt face, and his violet eyes burned with a feverish madness that chilled the bones of all who beheld him. Aerys had become obsessed with wildfire, a deadly substance whose emerald flames could consume flesh and stone alike. As she watched him depart, a cold wind swept through the courtyard, carrying with it a sense of foreboding as winter began to tighten its icy grip on the north. Alysanne and Jaehaerys prepared to depart, their dragons restless and eager for the warmer climes of the south. In the courtyard, the people of Winterfell gathered to bid them farewell, their expressions a mix of respect and quiet admiration. Before leaving, Alysanne requested scrolls and documents about the wall from the Night's Watch and Winterfell's archives. The maesters and elders provided her with ancient texts and records. Eager to assist in her research, she thanked them graciously, knowing these documents would be invaluable upon her return to King's Landing. Lord Eddard Stark approached, his grey eyes thoughtful. "Your visit has been an honor, Your Grace, and your presence is a reminder of the bond between our houses. The North will always stand with the Targaryens." Jaehaerys clasped his hand, his grip firm, "and the Targaryens will always remember the strength and honor of the North. Farewell, Lord Stark. May your lands remain strong and your people safe." Alysanne mounted Silverwing, her heart heavy with the knowledge she had gained, but it was also lighter for the friendship she found. "Thank you for your hospitality, Lord Stark. There is much we can learn from each other." As the dragons took to the skies, their powerful wings beating against the cold northern air, Alysanne cast one last look at the wall. It stood silent and enigmatic, a testament to the ancient power that lay beyond. She knew that the knowledge she had gathered would be crucial for her descendants, a beacon of light in the face of encroaching darkness. Back in King's Landing, Alysanne shared her findings with Jaehaerys, the weight of her discoveries evident in her eyes. Gaze at death. "I believe that one day this evil will threaten our realm again." Jaehaerys, ever the wise ruler, nodded thoughtfully. "We will prepare, my queen. The Targaryens are destined for greatness. But we must also be guardians of the realm. The knowledge you have gathered will be our guide." Elysia then delved into the scrolls and books she had brought back, documenting her findings in a detailed account. She wrote about the stories and legends, the warnings and prophecies, and the mysterious force that had repelled Silverwing. Among her writings, she included references to Azor Ahai, the legendary hero destined to fight the darkness. She noted a prophecy: "When the red star bleeds and the darkness gathers, Azor Ahai shall be born again, amid smoke and salt. This prophecy, foretelling a savior born beneath a bleeding star, resonated deeply with her. She felt a strange sense of destiny, as if the threads of fate were weaving a tale far greater than herself or her time. The Targaryens, with their dragons and their blood of old Valyria, had a role to play in the future of the realm, a role that was both thrilling and terrifying. Once Alysanne had thoroughly read and understood her findings, she shared them with Jaehaerys. Together, they decided on a plan. We must pass down these prophecies in secret to our heir, Alysanne said. We must be prepared and ensure that their kin are also aware, so the knowledge is never lost. Jaehaerys agreed, his expression solemn. Yes, each generation must carry this burden, so they are ready to face whatever darkness may come. We will entrust this knowledge to our children, and they to theirs, ensuring the realm's safety through our vigilance. Alysanne sealed her writings, ensuring that they would be preserved for future generations. She knew that these documents, these whispers of the past, might one day guide her descendants in their darkest hour. In the twilight years of their reign, Jaehaerys and Alysanne often reflected on their journey to the north. The memories were as vivid as the day they first set foot in Winterfell. They spoke of the wall, of the ancient legends, and of the prophecies that had become a guiding star for their lineage. One evening, as they sat together in the gardens of the Red Keep, Alysanne looked to the sky, her gaze distant and thoughtful. Do you ever wonder, Jaehaerys, what lies beyond the wall? What ancient secrets and forgotten truths are buried in the ice? Jaehaerys took her hand, his touch gentle and reassuring. I do, my love, but I also believe that with our knowledge, our dragons, and our descendants, we will face whatever comes. The Targaryens are more than just rulers. We are the guardians of this realm. Alysanne smiled, a sense of peace settling over her. Then let us hope that our future kin will be wise and brave, ready to face the challenges that lie ahead. For darkness is always lurking. And so, the story of Jaehaerys and Alysanne Targaryen's journey to the north became a legend, a tale of wisdom, foresight, and the enduring strength of the Targaryen dynasty. It was a story passed down through the ages, a reminder that in the face of darkness, there is always hope, and in the heart of winter, there is always the promise of spring. The Iron Throne, forged from 1,000 swords, stood as a testament to their legacy, a symbol of power and protection for generations to come. The Queen's respite in Dorne. Swords were a symbol of power and authority that had shaped the destiny of Westeros for generations. Now it was the seat of Daenerys Targaryen, the last scion of House Targaryen, who had fought valiantly to reclaim her birthright. Her ascent to the throne was marked by fire and blood, but also by a vision of a just and peaceful realm. The Red Keep, a fortress of imposing grandeur, stood watch over King's Landing. Its halls were filled with the echoes of history, the ghosts of kings and queens past. Daenerys, with her silver gold hair and striking violet eyes, ruled from the Iron Throne. Her presence was commanding, and her resolve unyielding. Yet the weight of the crown was heavy, and the burden of leadership took its toll. It was Tyrion Lannister, her hand, who suggested the idea of a respite. "Your Grace," he said, his voice carrying a blend of concern and wisdom. "Even the fiercest dragon needs a moment of peace. The realm is stable, and the Great Council is capable. Take a break. Travel to Dorne. Enjoy the warmth and hospitality of its people." Daenerys considered his words. The idea of a journey to Dorne, the southernmost and sunniest of the Seven Kingdoms, was appealing. She had heard tales of its beauty and the spirited nature of its people. Moreover, it would be an opportunity for her dragons to stretch their wings and bask in the southern sun. "Very well, Tyrion. Make the necessary arrangements." The journey to Dorne was a spectacle in itself. Daenerys, accompanied by her closest advisors and a contingent of Unsullied, traveled with her 3 dragons, Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion. The sky was alight with their presence, their massive wings casting shadows over the landscape below. As they traveled south, the air grew warmer. The landscape transformed from the fertile fields of the Reach to the arid beauty of Dorne. The golden sands stretched out like an endless sea, punctuated by the occasional oasis, and the sprawling cities that rose from the desert like mirages. Their destination was Sunspear, the ancient seat of House Martell. The Dornish had always been a people apart, proud of their heritage and fiercely independent. Daenerys had high hopes for this visit, both as a chance to rest and to strengthen ties with the Southern Kingdom. Sunspear was a marvel of architecture and ingenuity. Its towers and walls were designed to withstand both the scorching heat of the sun and the potential threats from the sea. The Water Gardens, a tranquil paradise of fountains and shaded groves, offered a cool respite from the relentless sun. As Daenerys and her entourage approached, they were met by Prince Oberyn Martell, known as the Red Viper, and his brother Doran Martell, the Prince of Dorne. Oberyn, with his dark, piercing eyes and charismatic smile, greeted Daenerys with a flourish. "Welcome to Sunspear, Your Grace. Doran is honored by your presence." Doran, more reserved but equally welcoming, bowed deeply. "Our home is your home, Queen Daenerys. We hope you find peace and relaxation here." Daenerys dismounted from her horse, her eyes taking in the beauty of Sunspear. "Thank you, Prince Oberyn." "Prince Doran, I am grateful for your hospitality." The days that followed were filled with the delights and wonders of Dorne. Daenerys spent her mornings in the water gardens, the cool, shaded groves, providing a much-needed respite from the heat. She marveled at the intricate fountains, the crystal-clear water, creating a symphony of sound that was both soothing and invigorating. She dined on exotic dishes, a feast for the senses with flavors and spices that danced on her tongue. The Dornish cuisine was a vibrant tapestry of flavors, from the tangy zest of lemons to the fiery kick of peppers. Each meal was an adventure, a journey through the rich culinary traditions of the region. The evenings were filled with music and dance. The Dornish were known for their spirited celebrations, and Daenerys found herself swept up in the infectious energy of their festivities. She danced under the stars, her laughter mingling with the music, her heart light and carefree. Daenerys and Oberyn joined their hosts in good-natured revelry, their movements blending with the rhythm of the drums and the strumming of lutes. The people of Dorne welcomed them warmly, and together they shared a night of joy and camaraderie. One night, as the celebration reached its peak, Oberyn approached her with a goblet of Dornish red wine. "A new beginnings, your grace." He toasted, his eyes sparkling with mischief and charm. Daenerys raised her goblet, meeting his gaze with a smile. "To new beginnings." While Daenerys enjoyed the hospitality of Dorne, her dragons reveled in the freedom of the open skies. Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion soared above the golden sands, their roars echoing through the valleys and canyons. They hunted in the deserts, their predatory instincts honed and sharpened. The Dornish, accustomed to the harsh environment, marveled at the sight of the dragons. They watched in awe as the majestic creatures flew overhead, their scales glistening in the sunlight. The dragons, in turn, seemed to enjoy the admiration, their eyes gleaming with primal joy. One afternoon, Daenerys rode Drogon to a secluded oasis, a hidden gem amidst the endless dunes. The water was cool and clear, a stark contrast to the surrounding desert. She dismounted and waded into the pool, the refreshing water washing away the stresses and burdens of her reign. Drogon, ever protective, watched her from the shore, his eyes half closed in contentment. Rhaegal and Viserion joined them, their massive forms creating ripples in the water as they drank and bathed. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated peace, a rare respite in a life defined by conflict and struggle. As the days turned into weeks, Daenerys and her Dornish hosts grew closer. She spent hours in conversation with Doran, discussing the history and politics of their realms. Doran, with his keen intellect and diplomatic skill, provided valuable insights into the complex web of alliances and rivalries that defined Westeros. Dorne has always been a land apart, Doran explained one evening as they strolled through the water gardens. Our customs, our traditions. Daenerys nodded thoughtfully. "I can see that. Your people are spirited and proud. It is a quality I admire." Oberyn, ever the warrior and adventurer, regaled Daenerys with tales of his travels and exploits. His stories were filled with danger and excitement, a testament to his fearless nature. "I have seen the world, Your Grace," Oberyn said, his eyes alight with passion. "But there is no place like Dorne. Our land, our people, they are unique, and we will defend them with our lives." The Red Keep echoed with his maniacal laughter as he whispered of plans to turn his enemies to ash. The air was thick with the acrid smell of burning oil and smoke, a grim prelude to the inferno he envisioned. Among those caught up in his madness was Rosart, a gaunt pyromancer with a sinister smile and eyes that gleamed with unholy fervor. Rosart and his fellow pyromancers shared Eris's twisted fascination, spending their nights in dark secret chambers where the air vibrated with incantations and the promise of destruction. In the deepest recesses of the Red Keep, Eris and Rosart conspired. The pyromancers hid caches of wildfire throughout King's Landing, a stash capable of turning the entire city into a blazing inferno. Aerys' paranoia convinced him that his enemies would soon overrun the capital, and he would rather see it burn than fall into their hands. The pyromancers worked tirelessly. The pungent scent of sulfur and smoke filling the chamber, the fire, the wrath. The very walls seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, as if the stones were imbued with the power of the wildfire. The air grew heavy with anticipation, each passing moment bringing them closer to the cataclysm Aerys envisioned. Amidst the growing tension and madness, Jaime Lannister, a young and skilled knight of the King's Guard, found himself torn between his oaths and his conscience. Jaime had sworn to protect the king, but he had also sworn to protect the realm. He had witnessed Aerys's descent into madness, his cruelty, and his reckless disregard for human life. Jaime knew that if the king's plan were realized, thousands of innocent lives would be lost in the inferno. The atmosphere within the Red Keep was thick with fear. Soldiers and servants moved with cautious steps, their eyes wide and wary. Silence was their ally, for the king's wrath was swift and unpredictable. The once grand palace had become a prison of dread, its splendor overshadowed by the looming threat of fiery destruction. Jaime sought the counsel of Sir Barristan Selmy, a fellow Kingsguard known for his honor and wisdom. "Barristan, what are we to do?" Jaime asked, desperation creeping into his voice. "The king's madness will destroy us all." Sir Barristan's face was etched with concern. He swore an oath. "Our duty is to the king, but we must also serve the realm. If Aerys' actions threaten the very fabric of the kingdom, we must act." The day of reckoning dawned with an eerie stillness. Rebel forces, led by Robert Baratheon and Eddard Stark, were closing in on King's Landing. King Aerys was betrayed by his former friend and hand, Tywin Lannister, under the false pretense of defending the capital. Tywin led his army to the gates of King's Landing. Trusting his old ally and swayed by Grand Maester Pycelle's counsel, Aerys ordered the gates to be opened. But once inside, Tywin revealed his true intentions and began a brutal sacking of the city, leaving chaos and destruction in his wake. The Mad King, driven to the brink of hysteria, summoned Rosart and his other pyromancers to the throne room. The vast chamber, with its high ceilings and intricate tapestries, felt like a tomb, heavy with the silence of impending doom. As his voice rumbled with fury as he turned to his Kingsguard, "Bring me the head of your treacherous father Lannister," he ordered. As Jaime hesitated, Aerys's eyes burned with madness. Turning to Rosart, his trusted pyromancer, he issued the fateful order: "Light the fires." "The traitors want my city," he hissed, his voice trembling with barely contained rage. "But I'll give them nothing but ashes. Let him be king over charred bones and cooked meat. Let him be the king of ashes. Burn them all." Rosart bowed deeply, a sinister smile playing on his lips as he prepared to initiate the wildfire plot. Ready to turn King's Landing into a fiery grave. "As you command, your grace, they will pay for their treachery in fire and blood. Burn them all." Aerys muttered, abruptly, his voice trembling with mania. "Burn them in their homes. Burn them in their beds." His voice continued to rise, each repetition more unhinged than the last, a chilling testament to his further descent into madness. Jaime, standing by the Iron Throne, felt a cold knot of dread tighten in his stomach. The air was thick with tension, the very walls seeming to vibrate with the anticipation of impending disaster. At that moment, he knew what he must do. His resolve hardened as he drew his sword and turned to Rosart, who was preparing to leave the throne room. Rosari turned to him, a sneer twisting his lips. "Traitor!" Rosart spat. "You will burn with the rest of them." Jaime moved with deadly precision, his blade flashing in the dim light. He struck down Rosart with a single decisive blow, the pyromancer's body crumpling to the floor. The Mad King turned in shock to Jaime, his eyes widening with a mixture of madness and fear. He began to move backward, stumbling over the Iron Throne's steps. Turning to get away, he repeated his deranged command. Jaime approached the Iron Throne, his sword dripping with Rosart's blood. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Jaime knew that this act would define him forever, that he would be branded a traitor and a kingslayer, but he also knew that it was the only way to save the city. With a heavy heart, Jaime plunged his sword into the Mad King's back. Aerys's eyes widened in shock and pain as he collapsed on the steps, still muttering his mad command. Determined to end it, Jaime moved swiftly, slicing his knife across the Mad King's throat. ensuring he would never speak those words again. Aereus' screams faded to a gurgled gasp, and he slumped forward on the steps, his lifeblood staining the Iron Throne. The Mad King was dead. Jaime stood over the lifeless body, his heart pounding in his chest. He had done what needed to be done, but the weight of his actions pressed down on him like a mountain. He knew that he would be reviled for this, that his name would forever be associated with betrayal and murder. But he had saved King's Landing, and that was what mattered. The news of Aerys' death spread quickly through the Red Keep. The pyromancer's plot had been foiled, and the wildfire hidden throughout the city was safely contained. The people of King's Landing, unaware of how close they had come to destruction, continued their lives, oblivious to the heroism of the man they would come to despise, Jaime Lannister, the Kingslayer, stood alone in the throne room, the weight of his actions heavy on his shoulders. He looked out over the city he had saved, knowing that his sacrifice would go unrecognized. His name would forever be tainted by the act of regicide. The Targaryen dynasty had been brought to a brutal and bloody end, its last king consumed by the very madness that had defined his reign. The Iron Throne, once a symbol of power and glory, now stood as a monument to the folly of a man who had sought to rule through fear and fire. And so, the tale of the Mad King and his final encounter with Jaime Lannister passed into legend, a haunting reminder of the fine line between power and madness, and the terrible cost of ambition. The eerie tale of Jaehaerys and Alysanne Targaryen's journey to the north. The great dragon Vermax, with his bronze scales shimmering in the pale northern sunlight, circled the ancient stronghold of Winterfell before descending. Jaehaerys Targaryen, the wise and benevolent king, looked over the sprawling fortress and the vast snow-covered lands surrounding it. Beside him was Queen Alysanne, known for her grace and keen intellect, who prepared to dismount from her dragon, Silverwing. The north, with its cold and foreboding beauty, was a world apart from the warmer, sunlit lands of the south. The Starks of Winterfell, led by Lord Eddard Stark, awaited their royal guests in the courtyard, their solemn faces betraying none of the awe they felt. The Northmen were a hardy and stoic people, shaped by harsh winters and the ancient, haunting tales passed down through generations. As Jaehaerys and Alysanne stepped onto the snow-dusted ground, they were met with respectful bows and a flurry of polite greetings. Stark contrast between the Targaryens' Valyrian features, silver hair and violet eyes, and the dark-haired Grey Starks was striking, a reminder of the diverse and storied realms they governed. And Winterfell, with its ancient stone walls and towering weirwood trees, offered a unique charm. The great hall was warm and inviting, the roaring fires warding off the chill of the northern air. Long tables groaned under the weight of hearty fare, roast venison, hot soups, and warm bread, accompanied by flagons of rich red wine. During the feast, Aliana marveled at the tapestry of faces around her, each etched with the strength and resilience of the North. She listened intently to the tales told by the Starks and their bannermen, stories of bravery and honor, of ancient gods and old magic. Jaehaerys, ever the diplomat, engaged Lord Eddard in discussions about governance and the unique challenges faced by the North. As the evening wore on, Alysanne found herself drawn to the stories of the old times, particularly those surrounding the Wall. The Wall, a monolithic structure of ice and stone, loomed in the distance, a constant reminder of the unknown dangers that lay beyond. It was said to be haunted by spirits and creatures of legend, a barrier against the dark forces that once threatened the realm. Growing tired of waiting for Jaehaerys, Alysanne decided to visit the Wall on her own. On a crisp, clear morning, she mounted Silverwing and took to the skies. The massive dragon's wings beat powerfully against the cold air, carrying her swiftly northward. Jaehaerys watched her departure with a mixture of pride and concern. His heart warmed by her adventurous spirit. He was nonetheless mindful of the dangers that might await. As Silverwing approached the Wall, Alysanne marveled at its sheer size and imposing presence. The walls stretched endlessly in both directions, a vast icy sentinel against the encroaching wilderness. Its surface gleamed like polished crystal in the winter sun, an impenetrable barrier that seemed almost otherworldly. Though it was summer and the Wall was weeping, the chill of the ice could still be felt whenever the wind blew. Every gust would make Silverwing hiss and snap in agitation. Alysanne urged Silverwing onward, curious to see the lands beyond. But as they drew closer, the dragon faltered. Silverwing's great head turned, and despite Alysanne's commands, the dragon veered away, flying back toward Winterfell. Perplexed but undeterred, Alysanne tried again the next day. Again, Silverwing refused to cross the Wall, turning back with a low, uneasy growl. A third attempt yielded the same result. Each time, Alysanne felt a growing sense of unease. It was as if an unseen force was preventing them from crossing. A silent warning from her dragon and the ancient structure itself. Upon her return to Castle Black, Alysanne decided to write to Jaehaerys. She needed to share her experience, but she also understood the importance of maintaining composure in front of the Northmen. "My dearest Jaehaerys," she began, her quill scratching softly against the parchment, "I must recount to you the peculiar events of the past few days. I attempted to fly Silverwing beyond the Wall, but each time she turned back, refusing to proceed. Though I laughed it off in front of our hosts, I am deeply concerned. There is something She paused, thinking of how to convey her growing unease without alarming him unnecessarily. "Thrice I flew Silverwing high above Castle Black, and thrice I tried to take her north beyond the Wall," she wrote. "But every time she veered back south again and refused to go. Never before has she refused to take me where I wished to go. I laughed about it when I came down again, so the Black brothers would not realize anything was amiss. But it troubled me then, and it troubles me still. She sealed the letter with the Targaryen sigil, the three-headed dragon, and handed it to a messenger bound for Winterfell. Daenerys found herself drawn to Oberyn's boldness and charisma, as well as Doran's wisdom and restraint. The Martell brothers represented the duality of Dorne, fierce and unyielding, yet wise and measured. The bond between Daenerys and her Dornish hosts was not only political, but personal. She found a kinship with Aerion Martell, Oberyn's paramour, and the Sand Snakes, Oberyn's daughters. The Sand Snakes, each with their own distinct personalities and skills, embodied the fierce spirit of Dorne. Tyene, with her sweet demeanor and deadly skill with poisons, intrigued Daenerys. Nymeria, named after the legendary warrior queen, was a master of the whip, her movements graceful and lethal. Obara, the eldest, was a fierce warrior. Her strength and determination were a force to be reckoned with. One evening, as the sun set over the water gardens, the Sand Snakes invited Daenerys to spar with them. It was a test of skill and strength, a dance of dragons and snakes. Daenerys, ever the warrior queen, accepted the challenge with a smile. The sparring session was intense, the clash of steel and the swish of the whip creating a symphony of battle. Daenerys held her own, her years of training evident in her precise movements and strategic thinking. At one point, Nymeria's whip landed a solid hit on Daenerys' side, causing her to stumble slightly. Stoic Grey Worm, ever vigilant, flinched and started to move forward, his protective instincts taking over. However, Daenerys, catching his movement out of the corner of her eye, burst into laughter. "Relax, Grey Worm," she called out, her voice filled with amusement. I'm okay." Grey Worm halted, his expression returning to its usual stoic calm as he stepped back into place. The tension in the air dissipated, replaced by a lightheartedness that spread among the group. "You fight well, Your Grace." My hands would be thinner than ever. "You're a hand, deliver. You have the heart of a Dornish woman." Daenerys laughed again, her eyes shining with exhilaration. "Thank you, Nymeria. I take that as the highest compliment." As her time in Dorne drew to a close, Daenerys found herself reflecting on her journey. The respite had provided her with a much-needed break, a chance to reconnect with her own humanity and the world around her. The warmth of the Dornish sun, the beauty of the water gardens, and the spirited nature of the people had rejuvenated her. One evening, as she stood on the balcony of her chambers, looking out over the expanse of Sunspear, Tyrion joined her, the hand of the queen, ever perceptive, sensed her contemplative mood. "You seem at peace, Your Grace," Tyrion observed, his voice gentle. Daenerys nodded, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "Dorne has been good for me, Tyranian. It has reminded me of why I fight, of what I seek to build, a realm where people can live in peace free from fear and tyranny. Tyrion smiled, a hint of pride in his eyes. You have always known your purpose, Daenerys. This respite has only strengthened your resolve. Daenerys turned to face him, her expression resolute. Yes, it has, and, ready to return to King's Landing to continue my work. The Iron Throne is not an end, but a beginning. Daenerys, this respite has only strengthened your resolve. Daenerys turned to face him, her expression resolute. Yes, it has, and I'm ready to return to King's Landing to continue my work. The Iron Throne is not an end, but a beginning. The journey back to King's Landing was a bittersweet farewell to the land that had given Daenerys so much. The people of Dorne, led by Doran and Oberyn, lead in their eyes. Remember, Your Grace, Doran said, his voice filled with quiet strength. Dorne stands with you. We are your allies, your friends. Oberyn clasped her hands, his grip firm and reassuring. And if you ever need a break from the madness of court, you know where to find us. Daenerys smiled, her heart full. Thank you, both of you. I will never forget the kindness and hospitality you have shown me. As she mounted Drogon, her heart swelled with a sense of purpose and determination. The dragons took to the sky, their powerful wings carrying them northward, back to the seat of her power. The return to King's Landing was met with a mixture of relief and anticipation. The city, ever bustling and vibrant, seemed to welcome her back with open arms. Daenerys dismounted from Drogon, her eyes scanning the familiar landscape of the Red Keep. Her advisors and council members greeted her warmly, their loyalty and support evident. The respite in Dorne had not only refreshed her, but it also strengthened the bonds of her rule. In the days that followed, Daenerys resumed her duties with renewed vigor. She held court, addressing the concerns of her subjects and overseeing the governance of the realm. The lessons and experiences from Dorne remained with her, guiding her decisions and actions. One evening, as she sat in her chambers, she penned a letter to Doran and Oberyn, expressing her gratitude and reaffirming their alliance. The bonds forged in the sunlit gardens of Sunspear would endure, a testament to the power of friendship and diplomacy. The tale of Daenerys' respite in Dorne became a legend, a story told by bards and minstrels throughout the realm. It was a tale of friendship and renewal, of a queen who found strength in the warmth and hospitality of the South. The bonds forged during that time would shape the future of Westeros, as Daenerys continued her quest to build a realm of peace and justice. The lessons she learned in Dorne, the wisdom of Doran, the bravery of Oberyn, and the spirit of the Sand Snakes would guide her as she navigated the challenges of ruling a vast and diverse kingdom in the annals of history. Annals of history. the enduring strength of the human spirit. A union in the godswood, the seven kingdoms simmered under the weight of brewing conflict. King Viserys Targaryen, aging and ill, sat upon the Iron Throne, a shadow of his former self. The question of succession loomed large, casting a pall over the Red Keep. Whispers of war echoed through the ancient halls, and the once unshakable bonds of House Targaryen began to fray. The Red Keep, with its imposing towers and sprawling courtyards, was a fortress of grandeur. Its thick walls held the secrets of centuries, and its chambers were alive with the echoes of power and betrayal. The godswood, nestled within the heart of the castle, was a place of serene beauty, a sanctuary from the political machinations that consumed the court. Rhaenyra Targaryen, the king's declared heir, felt the weight of the crown pressing down upon her. Her long silver hair, so characteristic of her Valyrian heritage, flowed like liquid moonlight, framing her determined face. Her violet eyes, deep and thoughtful, mirrored the conflict that raged within her heart. Across the keep, Queen Alicent Hightower, Viserys' second wife, harbored her own ambitions and fears for her children. Her auburn hair and green eyes gave her a striking presence, and her demeanor was one of controlled grace, masking the turmoil beneath. The tension between Rhaenyra and Alicent and their families had grown palpable throughout the years, a chasm widening with each full moon. The day prior, Rhaenyra and her family had returned from Dragonstone, bringing a sense of renewed hope. That same night, to mark their return and foster goodwill, the king had orchestrated a peace-offering meal. It was a rare gathering where Rhaenyra and Alicent, along with their families, shared a dinner. The atmosphere was heavy, yet there was a silent, unspoken treaty, a temporary truce between the matriarchs and their families in respect of the king. The atmosphere was tentative but hopeful, as both women seemed to reach a fragile understanding throughout the night. As the sun dipped below the horizon and bathed the Red Keep in a warm golden light the following day, Rhaenyra received an unexpected visitor. Alicent, not wanting to continue the infighting, hesitated for a moment before knocking on Rhaenyra's door. A knock at her chamber door drew Rhaenyra's attention. "Enter," she called, her voice steady. The door creaked open to reveal Alicent, a nervous smile playing on her lips. "Princess, may I have a word?" Rhaenyra's eyes narrowed slightly, suspicion flickering in her gaze. "Of course, Your Grace. What brings you here?" Alicent stepped into the room, her hands clasped tightly before her. "I have been thinking. Perhaps it is time we set aside our differences, if only for a day. The godswood has always been a place of peace for us. Shall we take a respite there, as we once did in our youth?" Rhaenyra's expression softened, memories of simpler times surfacing. "The godswood, It has been too long. Very well, said Rhaena. Let us go. The two women, once best friends, now found themselves journeying through the winding paths of the Red Keep. Their footsteps echoed in the quiet halls. The air was cool and crisp, carrying the faint scent of autumn leaves and the promise of change. As they walked, the tension between them seemed to be replaced by a fragile truce. The Godswood was a sanctuary of tranquility amidst the chaos of court. Towering weirwood trees, their bark white as bone and leaves a deep crimson, stood like ancient sentinels. The heart tree, with its solemn face carved into the trunk, gazed upon the world with eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of the ages. Alicent and Rhaena reached the heart tree, the setting sun casting long shadows that danced upon the ground. The two women settled on a blanket, the familiar comfort of the Godswood wrapping around them like a warm embrace. For a time they sat in silence, the weight of their shared past and an uncertain future hanging between them. It was Alicent who spoke first, her voice soft and tinged with nostalgia. Do you remember when we used to come here as girls? We would talk for hours, dreaming of flying away on dragons and eating cake, until we couldn't move. Rhaena smiled, the tension in her shoulders easing. Yes, I remember. We were so carefree then, untouched by the burdens of duty and politics. Alicent sighed, her gaze distant. I wish we could go back to those days, but we are not those girls anymore. We are queens, mothers, and our children will inherit this world. We shape. Rhaena's expression grew serious. And what kind of world will it be? We are on the brink of war, Alicent. The throne hangs in the balance. Alicent's eyes hardened, the steely resolve of a mother protecting her young. I fear for my children, Rhaena. If you ascend the throne, what will become of them? Can you promise me their safety? Rhaena met Alicent's gaze, the weight of her words pressing upon her. I swear to you, Alicent, no harm will come to your children. I will protect them as I would my own. Ossington's eyes softened, a glimmer of hope shining through her fear. And what of the future? How can we ensure peace between our houses? Mina's mind raced, searching for a solution. Our children, let us unite them in marriage. A bond between our families that cannot be broken. Alicent considered this, her expression thoughtful. A marriage alliance. It could work. It would bind our houses together, make us stronger. Rhaena extended her hand, a gesture of reconciliation. For the sake of our children and for the realm, let us put aside our differences and work towards a future of peace. Alicent took Rhaena's hand, the weight of their shared pledge sealing their resolve for the realm. She agreed, her voice firm as the shadows lengthened and the first stars appeared in the twilight sky. The two women rose from their place beneath the heart tree, The air was cool and fragrant with the scent of the godswood, a reminder of the timeless beauty and serenity they had found there. They walked back through the Red Keep, their conversation lighter, filled with shared memories and hopes for the future. The tensions that had once defined their relationship seemed to melt away, replaced by a renewed sense of camaraderie. Rhaenyra's dragon Syrax awaited them in the courtyard, her golden scales shimmering in the fading light. "Shall we fly as we once dreamed?" Rhaenyra asked, a mischievous smile playing on her lips. Alicent laughed, the sound bright and joyous. "Let us fly and leave our worries behind." If only for a while. Mounting Syrax, Rhaenyra helped Alicent settle behind her. The dragon's powerful muscles coiled beneath them, and with a mighty leap, Syrax took to the sky. The wind rushed past them, carrying with it the scent of salt from Blackwater Bay and the earthy aroma of the forests beyond. As they soared above the city, the lights of King's Landing twinkling below like stars fallen to earth, Rhaenyra and Alicent felt a sense of freedom they had not known in years. The burdens of duty and rivalry seemed to fade, replaced by the simple joy of flight. They flew high above the Red Keep, the dragon's powerful wings cutting through the air with rhythmic precision. Below, the city was a patchwork of rooftops and winding streets, a tapestry of life that stretched out as far as the eye could see. Rhaenyra turned her head, her voice carrying over the rush of the wind. "Do you remember our first flight? How we felt invincible, as if we could conquer the world?" Alicent's arms tightened around Rhaenyra's waist, a laugh bubbling up from her chest. "Remember, it feels much the same now, doesn't it?" Rhaenyra smiled, the tension in her heart easing. "Yes, it does. For this moment, let us be those girls again." As the night deepened, Syrax descended gracefully back into the courtyard of the Red Keep. The two women dismounted, their hearts lighter, their bond renewed. The promise of peace and unity they had forged in the godswood lingered in the air, a beacon of hope amidst the uncertainty of the future. "We should do this more often," Alicent said, her eyes sparkling with newfound warmth. Rhaenyra nodded, her smile genuine. "We should. The godswood will always be our haven, a place where we can find each other again." As a pair of knights passed them in the courtyard, Rhaenyra slipped back into her formal role. "Thank you, Your Grace," Alicent said, slightly amused at the change. "Thank you, Alicent. You will make a fine queen, Princess." They parted ways, each returning to their respective chambers, with a sense of purpose and determination. The future of the realm was still uncertain, but for the first time in years, there was hope. The bond between Rhaenyra and Alicent, once thought irreparably broken, had been mended. The throne would still be contested, but now there was a chance for a future where they and their children could live in peace. The godswood of the Red Keep stood as it always had, a silent witness to the passage of time and the unfolding of history. The heart tree, with its ancient knowing eyes, had seen the rise and fall of kings and queens, the ebb and flow of power and ambition. In the years to come, the promise made beneath its boughs would hold firm. Jaehaerys and Helena's marriage would unite the houses of Targaryen and Hightower, forging a bond that would withstand the trials of time and tide. The story of Rhaena and Alicent, their journey from friends to rivals and back to allies, would become a legend, a tale told by the firesides of Westeros. It would be a story of hope and reconciliation, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always the possibility of light. And so, the Godswood remained a place of peace and reflection, its leaves whispering secrets to those who would listen. Its heart tree stood as a symbol of the enduring bonds of friendship. As we draw the curtain on this evening's tales from the storied legacy of House Targaryen, I hope you've been transported into a realm where dragons soar through crimson skies and the echoes of ancient prophecies fill your imagination. Each flicker of the hearth's fire and every murmur of legendary deeds carries the spirit of these timeless sagas and the awe of bygone ages. Good night, my dear friends. May you dream of fiery dragons and moonlit kingdoms, of noble heroes and fearsome adversaries that come alive like the vivid tapestries in the halls of Dragonstone, with the promise of new adventures waiting just beyond the horizon. Let the night envelop you in its embrace of stories, and may the dawn bring with it a day brimming with new possibilities.